It is absolutely insane that I have been working out for 16 years of my life. If I could go back in time to the beginning and talk to myself, there are so many things that I would like to tell myself. And granted, I was a teenager that knew everything there was to know about anything in the universe, so there was a 0% chance I would listen. But in this hypothetical time traveling situation, I gotta try. 16 years is essentially half of my life, and if you dedicate half of your life to anything, you're gonna learn a thing or two. It's impossible to summarize everything I've learned about fitness, and frankly, if I tried to do that, this video would be 12 hours long, so I'm gonna condense it into 10 things that I wish I knew when I was starting out. Stick around to the end of this video and then leave me your comments with what you would add to this list. Let's go! Lesson number 1 is one of the most important. You should make mistakes. Fitness is a lifelong journey that's just you versus you. Making mistakes does not take you off the path. You keep going forward, and the mistakes you make along the way, they teach you a lot. I have made so many mistakes when I was starting out. Most of them are going to be touched on when I go through this list. But when I was starting out, I was young and dumb, and mistakes are just part of the process. It's a long journey, and you could afford to make those stupid mistakes. No mistake you make in the gym, even if it seems really silly, is going to be detrimental to your progress. I mean, unless you suffer some kind of catastrophic injury, try to avoid that would be my recommendation, but otherwise, no mistake you make is going to be detrimental. Lesson 2 is focus more on what you enjoy and less on what is optimal. We're constantly chasing what is optimal, especially in the beginning. We want to find the perfect workout split, the perfect duration, the perfect meal timing, when to consume protein, and all of that is great, but I have some important advice for you. None of that matters if it makes you miserable. Seriously. Sure, if you do everything optimally, then you're gonna fast track your results. But when you stretch this out over the duration of your entire life, the differences that these things are actually making are so minuscule. Let's take, for example, you're trying to lose weight and a full body split is the most optimal for you, but you absolutely hate it. You dread going to the gym, you start skipping workouts, and ultimately, it leads to you giving up on fitness altogether. And on the flip side, you can do things less optimally, and for you, that's a body part split where you like working out your back and bis, chest and tris. It's not as optimal, but you love it, you look forward to your workouts, and you stick with it for the long term. One of those options is clearly a better choice. It goes for fitness and it goes for diet. You should enjoy both of those things. They should not make you miserable. An optimal workout means nothing if you hate it. An optimal diet means nothing if you dread every single meal. There's a balance, sure, and you don't want to just totally go off script, chase the things that are fun, knowing that they are not actually producing results. But at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy this journey, you're never going to stick with it. Lesson 3 is treat every muscle equally. We all have our favorite body parts to train, and we're going to favor those. That's normal human nature. But one of the most egregious mistakes I made early on was that if I didn't care about a particular muscle, I just didn't train it. I was skipping leg day because 1, I hated it, and 2, I could just wear pants. I skipped back day because I can't see my back muscle, so who cares? I focused so much energy on arm day for no reason other than I wanted my arms to look big. And as humans, we're vain, and a lot of people fall into that trap, but I'm here to tell you that every single body part is just as important to train. That is a lesson that is nearly impossible to teach to any beginner, and I know that if you're a beginner out there, you don't want to hear it because we want to train the body parts that we like to train, but it is so important to train everything equally. Lesson 4 is a controversial one. It's that supplements don't matter. And I say that as someone who is a sponsored athlete and works closely with a big supplement company. They really don't matter. We tend to forget that by definition, a supplement is something that we are supplementing our diet with, not something that we should be relying on. Protein powder, it's great. I have protein powder supplements. It's a convenient way to get extra protein into your diet, but you do not need it. If you're getting enough protein in your diet from food, a protein supplement will make zero difference. That anabolic window that you've probably heard about where you need to drink a protein shake within 30 minutes after your workout, supplement companies made that up to get you to buy protein powder. As long as you're consuming enough protein throughout the day, it's gonna make no difference. Now, some supplements are great. I take creatine, I take pre-workout, but those things are not necessary for results, especially in the long term. Pre-workout, it's obviously a quick energy source. It's very convenient. Creatine has proven results, but again, in the grand scheme of life, the differences are going to be so tiny that it truly does not make that big of a difference. Supplements are one of those things that if you can afford to buy them, by all means take them. They are very convenient, but please do not rely on them. I almost took a test booster when I was a teenager, which is just so idiotic that I cannot wrap my head around. I didn't take it, luckily, because dumb. But supplements are one of those things that it's so easy to chase them thinking that they're gonna get us the results we want, and in the grand scheme of things, they're really not that big of a difference maker. Lesson 5, take progress photos. One of the things that I beat myself up about is that early on, I did not take progress photos of myself. But when I did take photos, they were just post-workout in the mirror at the gym with good lighting and good angles, so I looked my best. And that's not an indicator of progress. I wanna be able to look back and actually see the progress I've made year over year. We're our own worst critics, and it's not even close. And we see ourselves through a really skewed light. If you're only basing your progress off of what you perceive that you look like, you're never gonna think you're actually making progress. It's when you could look back and see the photos and actually see the physical differences. That is huge. So many times you feel like you're not making progress, and when you see those photos, it is all the motivation you need to keep going. For the longest time, I didn't take photos because I was so embarrassed that people would see shirtless photos of myself in the mirror if they got my camera roll. But when you think about it, who cares? I'm taking those photos for me. They're on my phone. I'm not doing it to show off. I'm not doing it because I'm cocky. I'm doing it because I'm trying to better myself. If you're on a weight loss journey, if you're trying to build muscle, take those photos of yourself, document them so you have them to look back on. It is huge. Lesson 6 is a biggie. Nobody cares if you have abs. I'm talking to every teenage guy out there that wants the chiseled abs. Nobody cares. Do you know who remembers whether or not I had a six-pack in high school? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Every single year, I would cut weight in the spring leading up to summer so that I would have visible abs for 1 week of vacation over the summer. I would starve myself and I would take fat burning supplements to get as thin as possible so you could see my abs. Did it work? I guess. Like, here's a photo of me on vacation that I found from high school where you can see abs there. Good work, Matt. But at the end of the day, that was what it was for. That's it. Now, many years later, it means absolutely nothing. All that caring about my visible abs did for me was stall my progress. Instead of continuing to build muscle year over year, I would build muscle for a few months at a time and then cut weight for just as much time, basically offsetting everything I was trying to do. Sure, I was building some muscle, but by reducing my calories so low, I was just stalling my progress. And this went on for years. It is so common for people to want to bulk and cut, but you need to focus on building muscle for an extended period of time before you worry about cutting weight. Truly, nobody cares if you have abs. If you want to build muscle, you need to be okay with carrying around a little extra fat. Just because you don't have a chiseled movie star six-pack doesn't mean you're not in great shape. Realistically, nobody has visible abs all year round, and nobody cares if you do. Seriously. Lesson 7. Don't try to hit PRs with every workout. It's great if your goal is to get stronger, but proof of being stronger does not just mean a 1-rep max. My mindset early on was that if my bench press wasn't increasing every week, that I wasn't making progress. So I was constantly testing my 1-rep max. And the only reason to test the 1-rep max, unless you're competing in powerlifting, is so that you can answer the question, how much you bench, bro? You can absolutely tell that you're getting stronger without constantly testing for it. And what I mean is, if you're deadlifting and you go to lift 405, it's a struggle, but you get it. Now, you could either increase the weight and see where you hit absolute failure, or you can stick with your program, keep going for a few weeks, and then when you get back to that 405, 3 weeks later, you go to lift it, it's way easier. So you rep it out 3 times total. You can accept that I've definitely gotten stronger. I'm gonna stick with my program that's working, keep continuing to make progress. To me, one of those is a way smarter and way more productive route to go. Lesson 8, cardio is not just for fat loss. I avoided cardio like the plague because I was told if you wanna build muscle, you can't be a runner. I remember seeing photos of sprinters and long distance runners and seeing that, well, if you're gonna run long distances, well, you can't be muscular. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Those are just two very different training styles. Just because somebody likes running long distances, it doesn't mean they can't build muscle. If you want to do cardio, you should absolutely be doing some form of cardio because it's good for, believe it or not, your cardiovascular health. I've since come to my senses. I love doing cardio, and I don't do it on a structured level where I go out for a run, but I'm very active. I have a toddler that I chase around and a dog that needs walks. So I end up walking 5 or 6 miles every single day, and I'm still able to make progress. If you want to build muscle, you do need to be in a calorie surplus. So if you're running or doing some form of cardio, yes, that's going to make it a little bit harder, but all that means is you need to eat a little bit more. It doesn't mean that doing cardio is going to completely offset all of your hard work in the gym. Cardio is very important for everybody to do in one form or another. I don't care if it's steady state. I don't care if it's high intensity. I don't care if it's not structured where you're just going for a walk around the mall. Some form of movement outside of just lifting weights is very beneficial. Lesson 9, take time off, you idiot. When you're young, you're indestructible. You don't have to warm up. You don't have to ease into things. You don't have to take any time off. None of it matters because you're never hurt. Early on in my lifting, I employed a no days off mentality where I literally worked out 7 days a week. And honestly, I felt fine. I vividly remember thinking, why do people take so much time off? Like I thought they weren't tough enough, that they couldn't handle it. And I was seeing results. So many people told me that you build muscle on your rest days. You know, you need to let your body rest and recover. But I was working out 7 days a week, seeing great results. So what do they know? I was so fudged in the head that I would take 1 day off and then the next day I'd be doing the ab check in the mirror to see if I've gotten fat after 1 day of not lifting. That's how screwed up my mentality was. Now I'm really lucky I didn't suffer any kind of major injuries or setbacks, but I easily could have because not resting is so idiotic. Now I work out 5 days a week. I make it a point to take every weekend off. You reach points where mentally it's just hard to get into a groove, and every day you start dreading working out. And in those times, that's when I decide I'm going to take a full week off, because at the end of that week, I am itching to get back into the gym. It is the perfect reset for me, both mentally and physically. And I don't think a lot of people think about the mental aspect of taking some time away from the gym. There's no hard set rule of how much time you need to be taking off. It's different for everybody, but the minimum should be 2 days off every week. And if you can't allow yourself to take off a full week for vacation or holidays or whatever it is, if that thought of taking a week off makes you feel like you're gonna lose all of your progress, that's when you need to reevaluate things, because I am here to tell you I used to be in that position, and that is a really screwed up mentality to have. You need to allow yourself to rest. And I'm sorry for calling you an idiot earlier. I saved the most important lesson for last. Don't be afraid to let go of your fitness goals. This one was one of the hardest things for me to learn over the years. Giving up on your fitness goals does not make you a failure. Now I'm gonna say it again because it's important. Giving up on your fitness goals does not make you a failure. I used to care about my max lifts more than anything. All I cared about was increasing my max bench press as much as possible. All the programming I did was ultimately to bench as much as possible. I had a grand goal of benching 400 pounds at one point. That was where I wanted to hit. The most I got to was 385. Close, but still not where I wanted to get. And then I got to a point where I just stopped caring about how much I could bench. And at this age, at this stage of my life, pushing myself to a 1 rep max, it's just not important to me anymore. So I gave up on that goal of benching 400 pounds, knowing full well that I will never hit that. Does that mean that I failed? No, it just means that my life changed and my goals changed. Your goals are gonna change as the years go on, and you need to be willing to accept that. Building as much muscle as possible might be the goal right now, but as you grow older, you might really get into mobility training, and that becomes the most important thing for you. That pivot doesn't mean you failed anything, it just means your life changed. Or you might take up running, and improving your run times are gonna be more important than your max squat. Your goals will change because our lives change. We grow older, our careers change, we become parents, we form new relationships, we experience hardships. Life is gonna throw a lot at you and you are going to change. So it's only natural that your goals are gonna change too. Even if you never reach this goal that you have set for yourself, it's okay to pivot. It doesn't mean you're a failure, it just means you're a human. So there are the 10 most important lessons that I wish I could go back in time and tell myself when I was starting out. Like I said at the top of the video, there are a million things I could talk about here, so I definitely left a whole bunch out. So drop me your comments of what you would add to this list and anything you might agree or disagree with from my list. Let's have a discussion. And I never know how to end these videos, so we're just gonna let this fade to black. See you next time.